Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to write a follow-up email after you've had that interview. We've all been there. Felt like we had a great interview, but then we haven't heard back. So when and how should you be communicating your interest in the job? And one of those ways is sending a follow-up email. Again, my name is Don Pippin, and I'm an executive and HR leader for Fortune 50 and 500 companies and startups, and Zippia has asked me to present to you today. I'm going to be guiding you through your career path in the name of Zippia and help you write the best resume, get a job interview, and get hired. If you want to read more, please visit us on Zippia.com. All right, let's get started. So you nailed that interview. Every question they asked, you had a great answer for it. Your resume was achievement-based. You had answers for those questions in your resume. There was not a question that you missed. And even after that, you sent them a thank you letter within 24 hours. You were expecting to feel better, right? Like the weight has been lifted off your shoulders, but you didn't hear back. So what do you do now? What if they told you that you would hear back within 48, 72 hours? No response. What if they didn't give you a time frame? Should you be reaching out to them? The answer is yes. But first, you want to relax, because no response does not necessarily mean that you didn't get the job. One, you could have been one of their first interviews and they already secured other interviews after. They may know they want to hire you, but they still need to go through those interviews because they've already contacted those candidates. The other is maybe they've decided they want to move forward with you, but they need to iron out details when it comes to pay. So before they reach out to you, they want to have the whole package put together. So if you're concerned about where you stand in the hiring process, so much so that you can't sleep at night, send a follow-up email. So I'm going to be walking you through how to send the best follow-up email for every situation. And if you visit Zippia.com, you will be able to see example emails for each of these scenarios. First, why are follow-up emails important? Why are they even necessary? Well, for one, sending a follow-up email separates you from others who don't. You don't know how many people they've interviewed, where you fell in line of those interviews, so this is just one way to help you stand out from your competition. It's also a courtesy to thank them for their time and their consideration with interviewing you. So, aside from the common courtesy, you can also use this as an opportunity to show your enthusiasm for the job and showcase why you're the perfect fit culturally and experience-wise. So say you're in the interview and they brought up a topic and you guys really jived together on that topic. You were putting out information, they were shaking their heads, they were in agreement, it started up conversation. This is a good time for you to rehash that and to reiterate why you feel you're a good fit. So we're going to go over some examples and different scenarios on when a follow-up email is appropriate and when you should send them. So how do you write a follow-up email after an interview? When done properly, it is a very powerful tool. So you want to make sure that, one, you keep it concise, two, you keep it relevant, and three, you keep it targeted. So there's a few different kinds of follow-up emails that you may send. I've compiled a list here, and you're going to use your judgment on which one would be the best suited for your appropriate use. But regardless of your email's intention, these tips hold true across the board. One, ask about next steps at the interview. The best way to avoid the uncertainty of when to follow up is asking for what the next steps are in the interview. For example, if your interviewer tells you that you should hear back by next week, wait 1 full week plus 1 business day before sending your follow-up email. Two, you want to express enthusiasm. This should be easy if in your thank you email, but it can be tough as you send more follow-up emails. You might be more frustrated than enthusiastic about how long it's taking the recruiter or hiring manager to get back to you. So it's still important to maintain positivity and highlight your continued interest in the role and the company. Third is you want to express gratitude. Thank the interviewer for their time and consideration. This is the central focus of a thank you email. But maintain your gratitude throughout further follow-up emails. It's polite and it can help soften the harshness of a request for a status update. 4. Include extra details. While not always necessary, a follow-up email is best placed to include further information that's relevant to your candidacy. This could be something tangible like a portfolio of your work, or an attribute, experience, or skill that you forgot to mention. Also, if the moment from the interview isn't sitting right with you, this is a good time to address it. So for example, if the hiring manager seemed to be put off by your lack of experience with a particular skill or process, you can mention how you're taking a class to remedy your knowledge gap. And number 5, proofread and get a second opinion. Follow-up emails like this can be awkward, so you don't want to be pushy or come across as impatient, but it's crucial that you don't allow your language to come off that way. Beyond looking for typos and grammatical mistakes, have a trusted confidant look over your draft and make sure that you're striking the right tone. Enthusiastic, curious, and willing to help if need be. So what would a thank you note or a first follow-up email look like? Well, if you head over to Zippia.com, you'll be able to see actual examples of what these look like. So I'm going to walk you through things that you want to make sure that you are keeping in mind when you're creating this document. So first and foremost, communicate your excitement for the opportunity by showing your interest and your belief that you are the absolute best person for this job. If there's anything you forgot to mention during the interview, this can also be a good chance to bring that up. So in the first paragraph, mention the specific job title and thank the interviewer. In the second paragraph, note the company name and a conversation point or goal that seemed important to the interviewer and connect it to your experiences. And in the final paragraph, invite them to ask additional questions and close by saying you're looking forward to hearing back from them. Just a reminder that I will be posting videos with tips and tricks every week, so subscribe to our channel to keep up with Zippia. All right, the next email type we're going to be talking about is what we call a portfolio included / forgot to mention during the interview. The reason why this would be of use is if during the conversation they wanted to know if you had a link to a website that houses your work. So if you're in a creative space, you may have an online portfolio. If it's not on your resume, you're going to want to make sure that they have that so they can see your work. So this is a good opportunity to shoot them a quick email saying, FYI, here's my, as a follow-up, here's my portfolio link. I look forward to hearing back from you. Also, if during the interview you forgot to mention something that you know would be value add to your candidacy, this is a great opportunity to remind them of your skills, your qualifications, and just how awesome you are. And then another type of email example is this position still available? This is a good follow-up email to use if you want to get an idea of where you stand in the hiring process. If you're not sure which follow-up to use, this is a safe bet. This technique basically asks for any new information about the hiring process regarding the job you interviewed for. Another example is you're just checking in. So if you haven't heard back from the employer after an interview within the time frame that they've given you, or after 2 weeks since the interview, send them a quick checking in email. Making a decision on who to hire takes a different amount of time for every company. So not hearing back right away, again, does not mean that you did not get the job, but it is a good opportunity for you to keep your name fresh in their mind during the decision-making process. So in this type of message, you want to make sure that you mention the title of the position that you interviewed for in the subject line or in the opening sentence. You want to keep the email concise. You want to let the employer know that you're still interested in the position and you're looking forward to getting an update, and offer to provide information in case it's needed. And the last type of email that we're going to discuss is one called staying in touch. So if you haven't heard back after you've been checking in, or you learned that you didn't get the job, you can still attempt to stay in touch with the hiring manager or the recruiter. The whole goal of this particular email is to create a professional relationship with someone who can help you grow professionally and stay on their radar in case another job opens up. I cannot stress how important this is. I recently worked with a candidate who did not get the job that they were interviewing for, but because they had done a follow-up and they did such a great interview, they got a call back the following week for a different position that they didn't even think of, that the company thought that they were going to be a better fit for. So these little details do really work in your job search. So some things to keep in mind when you're sending this type of email is you want to send it to the hiring manager, because this is a person that could potentially be a mentor to you if they're open to it. The second is you want to make sure that you keep this email concise. Mention what about them you found interesting or inspiring, and include a proposed time frame for a phone call or a meeting. And lastly, you want to keep it professional. This is the chance for you to grow professional relationships, not building your online dating portfolio. So I know we covered a few different types here, but I just want to remind you again, if you go to zippia.com, you can see actual examples of these where you can use some of this content in your own email responses. And just some final thoughts. The hiring manager will probably give you a time frame when you're in the interview, and if they don't, make sure that you ask before the interview is over what to expect when it comes to hearing back from the company. When should you hear back from them? If you haven't heard back by the end of the time frame that has been agreed upon or shared with you, then it is a good idea to go ahead and send out that follow-up email. Most of these people are not ignoring you on purpose. They're probably genuinely busy, and your email has merely slipped their mind. So try not to get down on yourself. Unless you really bombed the interview, you'll probably get a positive response. Sometimes following up after an interview can give you the extra leg up to land that job. As long as your follow-up emails are polite and show sincere interest, hiring managers will understand your concerns and respond. I wanted to thank you again on behalf of myself and Zippia for watching me today. Next week, we're going to be talking about another exciting topic, so please, as a reminder, visit the link in the video description to read more about the topic we discussed today, and ask any questions under the video. I'll be in all week answering questions, but most importantly, please don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be notified when our next video posts. Have a great day, everyone.